Episode 251, Finding Your People, Why They Matter More Than Ever. Well, hey, friend. Welcome to another episode of the Not Your Average Autism Mom podcast. I am your host, Shannon Urquiola, and I am so glad that you're here. Today, we're talking about something every mom raising autistic children needs. Whether you're new to this autism parenting journey or you've been walking it for years, and that is finding your people, your real people, the ones who don't flinch in the messy middle, the ones who don't disappear when life gets hard, the ones who love you even on the days that you are not the best version of yourself. And this episode was actually requested by one of our amazing members in our private membership, North Carolina Jenny. And the moment I saw her suggestion, I knew that we had to talk about this, because if there's anything I've learned in 29 years raising Jordan and building this community, it's that you cannot and should not do this alone. But here's the thing, finding your people isn't always easy. Not in this world, not in this life, and definitely not in this autism parenting journey that looks nothing like what you pictured life would be. So today I'm going to go deeper, not just in why we need our people, but into what that actually looks like and what it takes to find them. Because it's not magic, it's not luck, it's willingness. And I'm going to talk honestly about what that looks like. We're going to talk about why it matters, what to look for, what to walk away from, and some personal stories from my own life, the times that I got it wrong, and how I finally found my people. So I want to begin with the part that no one tells you. You cannot find your people if you're hiding. And so many moms, especially autism moms, hide without even realizing it. You hide behind the I'm fine, we're good, I've got it handled, I don't want to bother anyone, no one will understand. Other moms have it way worse than we do. But hiding is not strength. Hiding is fear dressed up as independence. And I can say that because I lived it. For years, I didn't tell anyone how exhausted I was. I didn't tell anyone how scared I was about the future and Jordan's future. I didn't tell anyone how isolated I felt. I didn't ask for help because I thought asking meant I was failing. But here's the truth that you need to hear. Your people can't show up for you if you keep pretending that you don't need anyone. The facade of the I'm fine version of you might feel safer, but I can tell you she will keep you lonely. So there's also this post that's circulating right now online that says, if you do nothing else in 2026, find your people. And it goes on to make the distinction that matters. And that is not your, hey, how have you been? I'm good, people. Not your, let me know if you need anything, people. But the people who already know something is wrong before you even say a word, because they pay attention. The people who know the difference between you being quiet and you being not okay. And that hits home for moms like us, because when you're raising a child on the spectrum, your hard days can't always be explained. Sometimes you can't even find the words for what you're feeling because it's a mix of worry and exhaustion and uncertainty and a love so big that it scares you. Most people don't get that, but your people do. Your people don't ask if they can help. They just climb down in the trenches with you. They sit in the yuck, in the meltdowns and the grief and the fear and the questions. For a long time, I didn't have that. I didn't have people who understood Jordan's meltdowns at the ball field, or why I left every event early, or why I declined invitations, or why I wasn't, the fun friend anymore. And I remember the fear of missing out and the shame and the they must think I don't care thoughts. But the truth was, I was drowning. I was trying to understand what my child needed. I was trying to navigate an entirely different world than all the moms around me. And I was grieving the motherhood that I thought I would have. And I blamed myself for everything I couldn't manage. I told myself I was failing when really I was just surviving. And looking back now, I didn't just need support. I needed people that could meet me where I was, not where they wanted me to be. But that village didn't show up magically. I had to learn what kind of people actually belonged in my life. And this is something else that you need to hear. Honesty with yourself comes before honesty with others. Finding your people doesn't start with conversations. It starts with self-awareness. You have to be willing to tell yourself the truth. I am lonely. I need support. I am overwhelmed. I can't do this alone anymore. I want connection, but I'm scared to reach out. And this was huge for me. I had to be willing to say, Shannon, you are not okay. And that doesn't mean you're a bad mom. It means you're just human and you're doing something very hard. Once you get honest with yourself, you can start being honest with others because your people cannot connect with the version of you that's pretending. And let's just be honest, willingness is uncomfortable. Being willing means showing up when you'd rather stay home, sharing a piece of your story when your instinct is to hold it in, admitting you don't know what you're doing, letting someone see you struggle, asking for help, reaching out again when you've been hurt before, letting yourself hope that maybe this time someone will stay. And in the beginning, it feels awkward. It feels risky. It feels like you're walking around without armor. But the more you do it, the easier it becomes because you begin to see that vulnerability is not weakness. It's the door your people walk through to get to you. And here's something else I've learned. Your people are the ones who climb in when life collapses. You know, I'll never forget the time Maddie was older. It was just a few years ago. And she said to me, Mom, I don't care what people think. He's my brother. That was her becoming one of my people in a whole new way. Or the many times that friends watched me parent Jordan and instead of judging, they asked, how can I make this easier for him? How can I make this easier for you? Not for them, but for us. Or the women who years later would become the heartbeat of Not Your Average Autism Mom. Your people don't just tolerate your life. They make space for it. And they make space for you right where you are. Your silence doesn't scare them. Your canceled plans don't offend them. Your unread texts don't mean anything except for she must be having a day. Your people understand that life inside an autism household is not predictable. And they don't take any of it personally. So let me just give you some real life examples of what it looks like to be willing. You know, when Jordan was little, I said, I didn't ask for help. I didn't want to inconvenience anyone. I didn't want them to judge his behavior. I didn't want to explain it. But the first time I said, hey, can you come over for an hour just so I can breathe? That was the first time I let someone into my world. And it wasn't easy. I felt guilt the whole time. But it was the moment that I realized asking for help is not weakness, it's wisdom. And I remember going to my very first parent support group years ago. And I sat in my car for 10 or 15 minutes thinking, nope, I can't do this. These moms will not understand my life. But I walked in anyway. And even though that group of people ended up not being my people, it was a step towards finding the people who eventually were. Sometimes the willingness is the win, not the outcome. Every mom who joins Not Your Average Autism Mom and posts her story in the village, she is stepping out of her comfort zone. She's saying, here I am. This is my life. These are my children. And you know what happens every single time? Someone comments and says, I feel this too. You're not alone. Our stories are similar. Thank you for sharing this. Welcome to your village. We are so glad you're here. And that's how connection is born, not from perfection, but from truth. And I know some of you are listening right now. You don't share your story because you don't want to cry. You don't want people to judge you or your children. You don't want anyone to think that you can't handle it. You don't want pity. You don't want the drama. But here's the reality. If you don't open the door, even just a little, the people who are meant to be yours will walk right past your life because they don't know you're in there. Finding your people requires risking being misunderstood, risking not connecting with everyone, risking being uncomfortable, risking people not knowing what to say. But the alternative is a life lived alone. And I promise that is far heavier than any moment of vulnerability. What if you were willing to be honest when someone asks, how are you? And instead of I'm good, maybe you say, it's been a hard week. We haven't slept. Or I'm exhausted, but I'm doing my best. Or we're having some challenges and I'm just taking it day by day. You don't have to overshare, but let them meet the real you. What if you say yes when someone offers support? When someone says, do you need anything? Instead of saying, no, we're fine. What if you tried, you know what? Actually, yes, I could use whatever that is for you. Even if it feels uncomfortable, even if you feel guilty afterward, even if you're not good at accepting help, because your future people can't support you if you never let them in. Or what if you reach out first? What if you message or text someone and you just say, you know, hey, are you available this week? I'd love a friend to talk to. For our members, what if you post in the village? Is anyone else dealing with this? Because I feel really alone. Or what if you get brave and you direct message another mom that you don't even know too well? And you just say, hey, I love what you shared. It really resonated with me. Thank you. Because those little moments are how true friendships begin. If you are never willing to be seen, you will never find your people. And this journey will feel so much harder than it has to be. And your people are not perfect. You are not perfect. But together you create a space where nobody has to be. Your people are the ones who say, you don't have to explain. I get it. I'll just sit with you in this. I'll listen. You're not doing this by yourself. We'll figure this out together. And that changes everything. And I want to talk about something real quick that is really important to understand and be prepared for. Some people won't stay. Some people don't know how to love you in those hard moments. Some people only know how to show up for the easy parts. Some people will throw fuel on your fire and not water. And as painful as it is, sometimes the greatest gift is losing the people who weren't meant for your life that you're living. Because once they're gone, you create space for the people who are. And I didn't know it then, but every friendship that faded made room for the friendships that I have now. Friendships built on understanding and acceptance and zero performance. So let's talk about the practical part, what I wish I had years ago. Notice who makes your life easier, not harder. Who makes adjustments for your child without making it a big deal? Who asks curious questions, not judgmental ones? Notice who stays when you disappear. If someone gets mad because you didn't respond for a week, they are not your people. Notice who shows up consistently. Not perfectly, but consistently. Put yourself in spaces where people get it. This is literally why I created the Not Your Average Autism Mom membership, because I wanted moms to have the community that I never had. Not just support, but shared understanding. Let yourself be known. This is the hardest part. But your people cannot find you unless you show them the real you. Not the polished social media version, not the I'm fine version, the I'm doing my best, and some days it feels like it's not enough version. That's the one your people connect to. And because I've been talking more about my book that's coming in 2026, Loving Through the Unexpected, I want you to know that this topic is one of the threads that runs through every chapter. You cannot choose acceptance alone. You cannot carry this journey alone. You cannot heal alone. Your people matter more than any strategy or schedule or binder. Because when the life you planned was never promised, your people help you embrace the life that's actually yours. And I just want to say, if you hear nothing else today, I want you to hear this. Do not stop until you find your people. The ones who don't make your friendship a choice. The ones who see you even on the days that you don't see yourself. The ones who love you through the messy middle. The ones who show up even when you can't. They are out there. And I promise you that. I didn't find mine overnight, but I found them. And they have changed my life for the better. And before I wrap up, I also want you to know that this is our last podcast episode of 2025. And as we head into the new year, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being here and for listening and for sharing these conversations with other moms and for letting me walk alongside you on this journey. Thank you for spending part of your days with me. I hope that this episode gave you something to think about and something to hold on to, and maybe even the courage to take one small step towards finding your people. I hope it has encouraged you to look around your life and pay attention to the people who already showed up and to make room for the ones who are on their way. I want to wish those of you who celebrate a very Merry Christmas or a Happy Hanukkah or just a wonderful end to 2025. I'll be back with you every Thursday in 2026, starting with episode 252 on January 8th. And I just can't wait to continue these honest and real conversations that remind you you are not alone. And please, if this episode helped you or made you feel a little less alone, leave a review. It really does matter Share it on social media and tag us so we can share it too. And finally, as we get ready to walk into 2026, above all, remember, you, mama, are doing amazing at this mom thing.